Well, back in an actual gym again today. Back at the small gym set up for another circuit. I'm thinking this one is going to be just as good because today we're hitting legs. But legs are an interesting one because legs are something that have a lot of machine work to them. At least in my routine, I have a lot of machines that help me propel my legs to go do something, a lot stronger. So actually managing a leg day in kind of a smaller gym when you only have like a power rack and stuff, it's going to be a lot of dumbbell work. It's going to be a lot of stuff that I'm not altogether used to, but that's okay. We're going to work on those variations and it's going to go well. I'm sure of it. But also in the home gym, it's like legs, you kind of got to move with a lot of weight because your legs can kind of be your most powerful thing. They're the ones that eat up the most, muscles, the most fat gets propelled down to this core area to where your legs are. So I can move some serious weight. I'm going to do 275 today. But since there's only 2 plates at this little small gym, it makes me feel like, I'm all that in a bag of chips. When in reality, I'm like a bag of Lay's chips full of air and fairy dust and, puffed up ego, when in reality, when I'm at a normal gym, there's 4 or 5 of these plates or anything. So running out of these plates, it's not really that big of a deal because there's only 2 of them. But 275 is what we're working with. Want to get decent depth with these, but we'll see how it goes. I've had, a little bit of fighting with depth here and there when I've been at the gym because I've been going heavier and I've been hitting decent depth, but it's just trying to manage it. It's just trying to balance, there's a fine middle ground between making gains and pushing yourself versus are we getting good depth. So let's see what this looks like today. Whew. Okay, good first set. It's definitely a little bit heavy, definitely having to warm up a little bit, but second set's going to look a lot cleaner. Okay, second set. Now that my legs are warmed up, now that things are moving, we got to increase the depth a little bit on this movement because, first set, get things kind of kicking a little bit. I'm doing the same for every set, which I wouldn't recommend if you're going to a heavier weight, but if I've done this weight before, so it's something I can manage. When you're moving to a heavier weight, you need to warm up. So when I'm doing all the same weight, I need to warm up kind of with my depth instead of with my weight. It's not I'm moving like, okay, a plate, 2 plates, all right, now we start the movement. It's I'm keeping the same weight the whole time, but first time we're going to be a little bit more lenient on depth, and then second, third set, that's where we're going to see the most depth, and then fourth set, just go all out. Try as much as possible, but not focused on depth as much. Maybe even increase the weight on that fourth set if you really think you can do it, which I still have to kind of debate on what I want to do, whether I want to increase the weight or increase my depth for fourth set. But second set, this should look a lot better than before. All right, much better, much better. That's the kind of caliber of work we want to see. Third set, we're going to replicate that for sure. Something that I've really been enjoying lately is, how much I'm getting into squat. Back at the college gym, I failed a lot of squat because I put a lot of ego into everything. And there was a time where I used to do over 3 plates on squat back in my high school days because I was lifting with ego. I was belted, I was all coked out on a bunch of food that was like not good for me. I would eat Pop-Tarts and cheese sticks and slam just a bunch of random, muffins in the morning at school and then be like, it's PR day, it's PR day. I'd start freaking out. But I know I can hit that weight, but did I hit it effectively? I went like, and then that was it. That was like the deepest squat that I felt that I could do at the time. But now, I feel so much better. 275 for 8 for decent depth, that's not as jaw-dropping as before. But to me, I feel like that's building my physique better. I've watched videos in the past where it's these massive bodybuilders. They're on all kinds of steroids. They're on all kinds of everything. They're going crazy. But what are they doing for like, curls and stuff? They might have a 25-pound dumbbell and they're just really feeling out that rep. You want to know why? Because that's what builds the body the most. Like if you're wanting to sculpt your physique, it's not, powerlifting. I don't feel like I'm in this for powerlifting. That may have been in the past when I did sports and stuff. I wanted that performance, but I'm not competing. I'm not doing anything. I'm just doing this, because I love to do it and because I want to sculpt my body into something that's like really, really attractive, really, appealing, shows how hard I work at this because, it's just a weight. It's just weight all around the gym, but depending on what you do with it, very, very different outcomes. It's, the levels of intensity, how far are you willing to take it? And so with squat, I'm very proud lately because I'd lost the enjoyment because I pumped too much ego into it. And now I'm doing less weight, but I'm happier. I'm actually happy on squat days. I'm like, okay, I get to train really hard for this. And I get excited. And I didn't get excited before on leg day. So I lost that love for leg day and now it's back. So let's go into this third set with that same level of enjoyment. A little bit loud on that slam, a little bit loud on the work, but hey, we're looking good. We're looking good. Working off some of those 4th of July hamburgers and stuff. Not gonna lie, 4th of July food hits different. I don't get too excited about the holiday. I don't have any huge childhood memories attached to it, but man, a good cheeseburger and stuff, a good little cheat meal. I've been off like, kind of the strict dieting that I always kind of stress because I don't know, it's just been the summer and I've been main gaining, I guess. I've been kind of staying at the same weight, but not eating too terribly healthy. Being, I don't know if you'll notice, but I don't really talk about that much on the channel. At the beginning, I kind of talked about eating a little cleaner, but as I've gone on, I've kind of stopped talking about diet as much because I have to like practice what I preach. I can't sit here and be like, oh, you have to eat clean food when right now I'm not even holistically adopting that because I'm just eating decently, but I'm having a few, decent cheat meals here and there, like maybe 2-3 days out of the week, which is substantial. It's substantial compared to how clean I used to eat. And there is a difference there, not in terms of weight, but in terms of how I feel. I don't feel the same as I did when I was eating clean back in college, but right now, with working a bunch of stuff, it's not ideal. And, probably for you, there's a lot of things pushing back in your life too, and I think you just need to give and take depending on the moment. I know I'm gonna get back to a point where eating clean is gonna be a priority, but right now, I'm not gaining massive amounts of weight. I'm hovering around 160, and I've been staying that way for like 2 months now. So I'm not super dead set on my weight because why would I be focused on that? If I'm staying the same weight, if I'm still increasing in strength, on a relatively decent curve, I'm not gonna go crazy freaking out like, oh, I've lost it, I'm losing my physique. Like, yes, I don't have abs the way I want, but I didn't want to gain summer abs. Like, I didn't want to do it just for the seasons, just to like look good, just to show off, because I'm not showing off. I'm out here grinding with the gym and stuff and grinding with content creation. I'm not gonna like, I don't know, do it for the sake of showing off, because showing off it's overrated. I'm not here for that. I'm here to just do me and then, give and take sometimes. So 4th of July food hits different, but that doesn't mean that like I've lost everything as a lifter, or that doesn't mean, my diet's cooked. It means that we're doing okay. We're doing okay. And those hamburgers, whew, I got to burn them off because they're coming out in the bathroom and stuff in between sets. It's TMI, but here we are. Last set. Make these squats count. Whew. Good hearty slam there. All right, squats are complete. Need to check my log and see what's up next. Okay, tried some different variations on and off, trying to figure out what works. And I think what we are actually going to start with today is we're going to be working on, all right, start with for hamstrings, is we're going to be working with RDLs. Now RDLs I usually put at the end of my normal gym workouts, but with the small gym, it's going to be focused on this end here. And I have a goal today. I have a goal to not really focus on my wrist wraps, because my wrist wraps are what's helped me get to the point where I can do 8 RDLs on my own. But, that's just helping my grip and stuff, because grip wanes a lot. But at this gym, the bar is it's got some pretty newer grips. So it's not like, it's going to be slipping and stuff. My hands aren't exactly sweaty since this is more the beginning of the workout. So I'm going to at least want to get this first set without the wrist wraps and go from there and see how more I can go. Can I even get this first set without the wrist wraps? Well, I'm not even sure yet, but having those grips, it's helpful, but I don't want to become reliant on them, because I want my grip to, train at the same way as my other, parts of my hamstrings. So for hamstrings, we're doing this first and setting the challenge to see if my grip can get there. Okay, 4. Let's get 4 more. Come on. 2. Come on. It's bleeding into me, but can we get 2 more? Okay. Whew. I definitely dug into my hands a little bit, but I'm happy with that. I'm happy with first set, getting it without those wraps. Okay, wraps equipped. Like an item in some RPG. We've got them, pulled them out of the bag, and so now this is what's going to help us get really, really fine-tuned reps. When I'm doing it without the wraps, I'm more focused on my grip than anything. I'm not focused on the pull on the hamstrings. I'm not focused on all that other stuff, just because the grip hurts so bad. And I'm worried that my wrists are going to tilt outwards when I'm holding such heavy weight, and then boom, there it goes, it drops. When it's a bar like this, it's not going to drop on my feet, but it's going to make a big noise, and then there's going to be a problem in the gym, and then, then you've just created, yourself as this ego lifter, as someone who can't manage the weight. And it's not about managing the weight, it's about managing your grip. So wrist wraps are the way to go. Even if you have some small, small circuit, small home gym, pretty, pretty, what's the word? I'm blanking. Modest. Pretty modest little, setup. Sorry, I forgot that word. I still would recommend getting wrist wraps. These were $35, $30 on Gym Reapers. I'm not sponsored by them, but Gym Reapers ones are the ones I've been using, and they've like helped out my hamstring curls like crazy. If they want to sponsor me, I wouldn't say no to it, because like they're good. They're good. It's a good product because, you know, it's just simple. You got to figure out how to tie it right. But once you get it, you can focus more on like that pull on your hamstrings rather than the grip that keeps slipping. And that's what I'm going to focus on this time is, you know, how much pull can I get on my hamstrings? And that's what we're really going for, right? We're wanting to feel that mind-muscle connection. We're wanting to really, you know, tone our body. We don't need to be worrying about that grip. We need to be worrying about the pull on our hamstrings. So, second set, let's focus more on that. Okay, see, that is what we're talking about. I can already feel it back there. And that hamstring and those glutes were really growing. All right, third set, once again, focusing on that deep stretch, focusing on extending all the way to the bottom. I mean, sometimes when I've done this exercise, I've literally tapped the weights on the ground as I've gone up, which you can do, but it kind of halts the progress a little bit. It's almost like, you know, tapping on the top of a shoulder press. I still do it. It probably halts stuff a little bit because the tapping, like, you don't actually need to tap. You can just get very, very close to tapping. And that's kind of what we're doing here. Like, sometimes I'll tap. I used to do it back at the college gym. Here, I'm not going to tap. I'm just going to get as close as possible because I don't want any friction between, you know, me doing the movement. I just want as much pull from my legs as humanly possible. So, third set, just not much yapping, just getting to it. Let's wrap these fine and then get things moving. Or not wrapping. There we go. Okay. Okay, that one was moving a lot faster than I anticipated, but that's good. That means next workout, we can work on an increase. Now, with calf raises, we got a little bit of a different type of variation today, because normally I do the calf raises standing on a Smith machine, because the Smith machine, it provides me with a lot of balance. But today, we're doing it sitting. You can hear from my labored breathing. We got 75 resting on my knees. And now these are gonna rest on my knees, and I'm gonna focus on the decline, because that's the best part of what you have to do with calf raises. It's that decline. So I got a little raised edge here. I'm gonna do it seated. So 12 reps, deep stretches on these. Okay, rest these to the side a little bit. Definitely really heavy, but I might try to raise the decline just a little bit and try to focus more on that, but pretty good stretch for the most part. Okay, second set, raise it up just a tad so I can get a deeper incline stretch. And then third set, we'll raise it one more little barrier, but I'm gonna try to rest it a little bit more on my knees this time, because I feel like, you know, towards the top of the knee, it's gonna really focus more on kind of like pressing down throughout that calf. Of course, it doesn't really matter where you set it. If you're loading weight on seated, you're just loading weight. I mean, technically I could do like a standing and just hold it at the side, but I'm worried about my balance. I'm worried about falling, and I'm not just trying to get injured on a random, what is today, Saturday morning? Yeah, we're not doing that. Saturday mornings are for cartoons, not cartoonish injuries. Here we go. Raise that more in the knees. All right, now we go. Definitely good. Try to balance these just a touch. There we go. There we go. Whoop. Yeah, heavy weight, different variations. It makes things just a tad riskier, but you can get a decent workout with dumbbells. And if you're, beginner to intermediate and stuff, you're not going to be working with as heavy dumbbells as I am. And if you're experienced while working with heavy dumbbells, you know how to play things safely at that point, so you know you're not going to get injured. All right, and we have one more set left. One more little set. I added one more barrier to the bottom and kind of push it out a little bit more, so we're going as deep as possible as we can. It's not loaded straight up, so I don't think it hits exactly the same calf muscles, but we're still focusing on that decline just in a different way, and you do that in real life too. Like when you're running and stuff, you're focusing on different calf muscles depending on if you're uphill, downhill, flat surface, curviness. Like you're constantly adjusting and readjusting. So as we're, pushing this out, pushing this in, we're focusing on the different calf strengths, the different calf stretches, just as we would in regular everyday life. So increasing a little bit like this, I think it's interesting sometimes just because you might not feel the same soreness that you felt if you did this, just straight up and down normally, because we're hitting it in a different way. But load up these 75s real quick, and then yeah, we'll move on to the next thing. Good little bit of calves there at the ends. Go ahead and set these down and put those dumbbells up and then check what we have next. Okay, for the last little bit of exercises, I won't lie to you homies, I'm probably just improvising, because since we don't have, a hip abductor or hip adductor machine, the stuff that goes like that and the stuff that goes like in and out, we don't have that. So what you can do is you can do banded stuff, or at least this is what I'm thinking, because I didn't look up any videos or anything, but I've done band work before where I'm kind of like holding it and I'm kind of pushing against stuff, which is, in theory the same thing. And honestly, it can be even better sometimes, because I'm not going to tie it to the power rack, but if I did, then I can just kind of go as hard as possible. These bands are kind of longer, so I'm going to have to bunch them up. But if I had one of those thin bands where it wraps around your legs, then you can kind of do the same thing, just based on your resistance, kind of pull. But since we have these thicker bands, I'm just going to hold it, keep it over to the side, and then almost it acts like one of those smaller bands, because now, it's the same size. So this is going to help a lot of open movement, because normally when I'm doing it on the machine, I'm going for power. Well, this time I'm doing as much resistance as I can pull, so it's really going to be focused on that mobility, about really opening up as much as possible. So we're going to do each leg, abductors and adductors, and I'm just going to do one all-out set of 20 powerful reps, and then I'm going to call it. So first, let's work on that right leg. We'll work on adduction is what that one is. Okay, 20 reps there. Pretty good. The band was getting a little bit on my hairs. That's unfortunate, but we'll go ahead and we'll do it the other way as well. Lock this in here and pull out. Okay. Rep. All right. Should be good now. This one definitely has the legs shaking a lot. All right, so that was adductor. So now we're gonna have to pull back here from the back, and that's how we're gonna do abduction, working inward. You know, lock it in the same way. But now what we're doing is we're wrapping and we're pulling back all the way back here from the bench, and we're just gonna have to pull in as much as possible. So tighten it right here as far as the legs go, kind of keep it steady and just pull it. Hold on, make it a little less resistance. All right, there we go. Okay, that one was deep. That one was cutting off some circulation, I won't lie. Try to make it a little bit more comfy this time. All right, hold back, hold back. All right, definitely scrappy, definitely not altogether looking the best or the brightest, but those are some scrappy reps we got. And you know, that pretty much completes the workout. You don't really need a lot for a home gym leg day. Of course, I'm cutting it off early. And what I would do if I was in a normal gym is I would go 3 sets of hip abductors and adductors with a normal machine where I'm getting good pull. I'd work with leg extension and I'd do leg curls. But that's just more hamstrings and that's just more, you know, quad focus. If you're wanting to do something that's kind of small, that's kind of short, that goes through the motions a little bit quicker, doing it, you know, just those 3 movements, calves, hamstrings, quads, and then a little bit of hip abductor work for flexibility. Go ahead and add in for like a 5th movement, go take a run, 10, 15 minutes, go run around somewhere. You're going to get some cardio in. You don't even have to, like, if you're a beginner and you don't want to start a complete cardio day, add some cardio at the end of your leg day. Definitely don't do it before, because that'll kill your gains with no endurance. But if you're adding it at the end, you know, that's a good finisher. That's a good, you know, cool down. I mean, it's heating you up, but it's a good cool down afterwards, because you can take a decent run for 15 minutes and take a long breather, just try to get everything out. Like going for a mile run as a beginner, you know, 15, 20 minutes, that's not going to kill you. That'll make things easier. And then you just try to improve your time every time. Time every time. I'm having real creative sentences today, but yeah, that's pretty much a good little circuit here. I appreciate you guys watching, and I'll catch you in the next one. Hopefully next time I won't have to focus as much on the bands, and I'll be a little bit more normal with things. But you know, I'm still happy with it. I'm still happy trying some different things. But I'll catch you guys in the next one. Bye bye.